Hey guys, I'll be going over patch 11.13 meta tier list. This is my personal tier list. For my personal top 3 comps to climb with, 1, redeemed Varus, and you transition this board into Invoker HIV, which stands for Heimer, Ivan, Volley, and I guess Garen as well. I think redeemed is one of the most consistent and one of the best comp to climb with on this patch. It doesn't have to be redeemed Varus, it could be redeemed Lux as an item holder, it could also be Vel'Koz. For my second, I'll put Dawnbringer Karma carry. This is a default Karma plus Garen board with Dawnbringers. And then 3 is a Draconic Abom opener into either Ashe carry or Zarya carry, or even a Phlex pivot transition late game. I'll go over all 3 comps later. For item opener, I currently really like the Rod opener and playing flexibly between Redeemed and Dawnbringer, as both Karma, Vel'Koz, Varus as well really use Rods really well. And if it's not Rod, it's probably Belt. Belt's really flexible. Warmugs is a great frontline item. Almost every comp can use a Warmugs as a frontline item. So it's like a really flexible, solid component that saves you a lot of HP mid, early game. And it also doesn't fall off late game as well. For the highest cap board, assuming you have the Econ, the HP, and the opener for it, I think the 2 strongest comp in the game right now is AP Legendary comp, the Heimer, Ivan, Volley, Garen, the 4 Ranger of Phlex carry, and you have a stack of Phlex with running Kindred and Darius with 4 Rangers. Early game item holder that goes on future 4 or 5 cost carries. For example, early game for your Phlex, which could be like Deathblade, or like BT, Last Whisper, Guinsoo, Hurricane, like all the good generic AD attack speed items. You could have Varus, Ashe, or the Abom be holding onto the Phlex items. For AP units, like Heimer or Teemo, I prefer Heimer because it has a higher cap and it's more consistent and deals more damage. Such as like Shojin, Guinsoo, Jewel Gauntlet, Deathcap, like any tier mana item pretty much. Varus, Lux, Zara, these 3 are a really good item holder. For an item holder like Karma, which use blue buff really well, or like Shojin. Karma or Vel'Koz item holder can be like Katarina, which use blue buff really well, or like Lysandra. Basically any upgraded 1 cost item, or like Ziggs, for example. Preferably, I like using Lysandra as item holder for the team for Karma though, as the transition makes it a lot easier since it synergizes well with like Soraka, Invokers, and Renewers. Things to note: for every comp in the game right now, in the current meta, every late game comp should be flexed between frontline units and whichever upgraded. So what I mean by this is every comp requires a frontline, and that frontline depends on the lobby heavily, and it depends on the matchup. So for example, if they're playing Redeemed and they have Lux Shield or like Rel Shield, then Volley is really high value as Volley breaks shield, or against like Nightbringer Yasuo matchup where they have a lot of shield from Nightbringers, the Volley breaks the shield, which is really big. Ivan Volley is really good frontline for raw CC, HP, and the shield break. Obviously Ironclad, which includes Nautilus, Reljax, or Ironclad's bad, is really good versus like AD comps, such as like Draven, Aphelios, stuff like that. And obviously Mystic versus AP. Usually 2 Mystics is not good enough late game. Usually you want 3 or 4 is when you start to really get value out of Mystics. Your late game frontline or defensive trade should always be Ivan Volley Bear late game, Ironclad or Mystic depending on the matchup. Here's a list of other comps here, but I'm not going to go into detail as I don't think they're that good to force or play. Like you'll just play it if you get the opener for it, but usually I'll just go into detail of the top 3 comps. I'll have this note in the video description so you guys can check it out if you guys want. I just go over like best in slot on a unit, like for example like Yasuo here. It'll be Hurricane, RFC, Shadowhawk, stuff like that. So onto the first comp, which is Redeemed Varus, or Redeemed comp in general. This is like your default level 8 board. It doesn't have to be exactly this. Obviously it depends on like matchup. Like sometimes if you didn't hit Kindred, you'll have a random other Mystic like Morgana or Rise, stuff like that. Sometimes if the lobby is very magic damage focused, you don't even need Ironclad or Skirms. You could just take out Jax for 4 Mystic at level 8. Sometimes if you have a Redeemed spat and you have all upgraded Redeemed, you could sometimes play 6 Redeemed. But the most important part about this comp, having Lux, Varus, and Rel as your 3 Redeemed, those are your 3 core units, and Pantheon. And you might be wondering, why do you have Pantheon in this comp? It's because if you know Varus' spell, Varus fires an arrow around his target, and your allies can proc all the Varus spell passive, the bonus magic damage, the Pantheon Spear counts as an auto, so the Pantheon skill can proc multiple Varus passive. So that is why you run Pantheon. And Pantheon is generally really good frontline unit that doesn't require that much synergy or items to be a good frontliner. If you're playing Varus all the way, it's usually play for top 4, but if you stabilize early with good HP and econ with this board, you could transition this final board into HIV or like Heimer, Ivern, Volley, full Invoker AP capped board, putting Varus items on like stuff like Heimer. So like you could transition, you could sell Pantheon, Trundle, Jax, Varus, and put Pantheon tank items like Warmogs, Redemption, stuff like that, all on Garen, and you could put Varus items all on the AP carry like Heimer, and transition your full board into like having Ivern, Volley, etc, stuff like that. All the good legendary units and forecast units. In terms of items, you want any tank item on Pantheon, like Warmogs, Bramble, Declaw, Redemption, they're all good on Pantheon. For Varus, the Varus items are very important. You want Shojin so that Varus gets multiple ult off. You want Jewel Gauntlet so that your Varus ult has the ability to crit. And you want Shadow Last Whisper, as this item has been buffed a lot recently. And basically what it does is when your user crits, it reduces their armor and MR by 70%. Basically it does close to true damage on all enemy. And the Varus arrow, the AoE arrow procs the Shadow Last Whisper as you have Jewel Gauntlet, the ability to crit, which means that all your units though is close to true damage, magic damage and 80 damage, so it's like a really solid item and allows you to stabilize really hard with these exact items. You could fully transition this board into Heimer, Ivern, Volley comp with Garen, or if you don't have enough econ or gold to transition, you just stay at this board and play for top 4. Obviously you don't need Jax. If it's a magic damage heavy lobby, you just play 4 Mystics. If it's an AD heavy lobby, you could take one of the Mystic out for 3 Ironclad with Nautilus and stuff like that. The item start for this is Glove or Rod. I like starting Rod because I could flex between other comps as well, like Vel'Koz or Karma, but Glove is best opener for if you're trying to only play this comp. So here's our example of the comp. You can see Hunter here. This is like a high challenger lobby. He's playing the Varus comp. The important part is you have one. I mean, he didn't get BIS, a best in slot for Varus, like no Shojin. But I guess Zeke's can kind of work like Shojin, where it allows the Varus to cast faster. And he's just running 4 Mystic here, since the second place Yasuo and the third place guy have a lot of magic damage, which 4 Mystic is a lot of value in this lobby. And he's just playing upgraded, like random Viego 2 upgraded unit, put bunch of tank items on Pantheon, like Titan, Redemption. He has offensive item Varus, and this board is enough to win the lobby. Another example here is Grubum winning the lobby with 4 Mystic because it's a AP heavy lobby. Same thing applies here. Tank item on Pantheon, perfect item Varus, and he has a Kindred 2 stacked as well. Here's my example of me playing Varus and transitioning this board into a full late game board, the Heimer, Ivern, Volley, Garen board. So you can see here exactly, if you look at my Heimer items here, these used to be on Varus. I transfer my Varus item to Heimer, I transfer my Pantheon item to Garen, and I just played 4 Mystic since it's a AP lobby, and I just played whichever upgraded units I have and played around legendary units and forecast. Last example, here's Pokegum playing a slight, not the Varus version of Redeem, but still 6 Redeem with Vel'Koz carry, Vel'Koz plus Deluxe. You could have you can see Pocky having 2 offensive item, which is Giant Slayer plus Jewel Gauntlet, and 1 offensive tier item, which is Shojin. This is probably close to BIS on Vel'Koz. And you could have Lux with Shojin as well for the Infinite Shield. The reason why the 6 Redeem comp is really strong is because of the fact that Lux and Rel are really solid units, and it basically you win matchups because all your units are really tanky with high armor and MR. So the enemy needs Last Whisper or some sort of armor shred or MR shred, which makes this comp really solid. And it's because Rel and Lux are really good units, which gives Infinite Shield to your entire team, allowing all your units to cast often, multiple times without even having any items, which is why I rate this comp as the strongest comp for this patch. On to the next comp, it's the Dawnbringer Karma comp. For this comp, I'd like to start Rod, as you could have multiple Rods in this comp. Yeah, I think this is BIS for Karma. You want blue buff or Shojin. Basically, the rule of thumb for your carry is for your AP carry is you want one mana generating item, which is either Shojin or blue buff, and 2 AP item, which I think the best 2 AP items are Death Cap with Jug on it. So this is probably one of the highest DPS Karma build you could get. And obviously any comps require a frontline item or a frontline unit or both, most likely both. And Warmogs is probably the best one as it synergizes really well with Dawnbringer, which heals a percentage of maximum health, and also the Garen Shield, which scales really well with Warmogs. So this could be your default level 8 board, 6 Dawnbringer, 2 Revenant, 2 Brawler, 2 Invoker, 2 Renewer. Your main carry is obviously Karma with these items. It doesn't have to be positioning this exactly. If there's assassins or like something that could kill your Karma, you could box her in. But sometimes if you're facing the mirror matchup where you want to spread out, you could do something like this, or like there's no sense, you could just do like this. Obviously Volley Bear. I like to position if the enemy. The scary part about this comp is if the enemy Vel'Koz is like on the top left, then you should be putting your Volley Bear here, and you should put your Karma on the same side as Vel'Koz will alert the farthest center and the farthest other side. Another thing is like there's like Vel'Koz, Zyra, stuff like that. It doesn't even apply to just Karma comp. It could apply to like the redeemed comp, basically any comp in the game. If you don't want to carry on the opposite side of Vel'Koz or Zyra, you want it on the same side. Is the important part. If you have any tank item, just put it on Garen. Any tier rod item, Karma. Any leftover AD item, you could put on a Riven. Stuff like that. You don't have to play 6 Dawnbringer the whole time. If you had more upgrades, like you could drop, for example, Gragas, Riven, or like drop Nidalee, one of these, to play drop down to 4 Dawn, and you could just play Heimer and like upgrade it like Taric or something. If it's a physical heavy lobby, you could even have like Rel 2 plus Nautilus. AP heavy lobby, you could play Mystics. Or another example is if you have somehow items for your Teemo as well, you could play 4 Invoker even with Syndra like this. So you have a lot of like options, right? But yeah, usually it's 6. Your comp builds around 6 Dawnbringer with Karma plus Garen as your core 2 units, and you just play whichever you hit. The first picture I showed you guys with 6 Dawnbringer with Riven plus Gragas is probably the most common board you'll see, as it's really hard to like. It's like probably one of the easier version to hit, and it's probably one of the most consistent one. Example of this comp, you can see me here going first at level 8. I have a random Deathblade, random AD item left over, put on Riven. Karma with 1 tier regenerating item, which is Shadow Blue buff, 1 tier item. 1 offensive item, 2 offensive item, Death Cap and Giant Slayer. Garen 2 with Warmogs, and a bunch of other tanks slash AoE Morello item. And you can see me here high rolling a Heimer 2 at level 8. Here, you can see another example of Glubom winning the lobby with Garen 2, Karma 2. And you can see here he has a Taric 2 because he got an upgrade. He also has a Dawnbringer spell. You can see here he has 1 tier regenerate mana item, blue buff, 2 offensive item, IE with Jewel Gauntlet. You don't build IE if you don't have Jewel Gauntlet. It's just that IE plus Jewel Gauntlet synergize really well together. Bunch of tank item left over on Garen. Onto the third comp, Draconic Abom opener into either Ashe carry or Zyra carry, and possibly a Phlex transition. Your level 7 board default is usually this. It looks something like this. Where it consists of 4 A-Bomb, 2 Brawler, 3 Draconic, and 2 Spellweaver. For this, you want to prioritize A-Bomb item first, which is Hurricane. I like Shadow Hurricane a lot more, but regular Hurricane works. And Shadow Lost Whisper. Regular Lost Whisper works, but Shadow Lost Whisper is a lot better. And you could have like leftover tank item on Nunu, like Warmogs, which works really well with Nunu's spell. And for example, if you have another if there's a better A-Bomb other than the tank item from Nunu, Titans or like Death Cap or any A-Bomb item like IE, you could just put it on Rise. How A-Bomb works is that A-Bomb Tombstone is always here, and it always takes the closest 3 A-Bomb unit. So for example, if I have IE on this Rise, and I have Rise here, the A-Bomb will take Last Whisper, Hurricane, and Warmogs, whereas if it's positioned like this, it'll take these 3 units, if it's like this, since Tombstone is here, and there's 3 A-Bomb units closest to this graveyard, it'll always take the Hurricane, IE, Last Whisper. And for Zyra items, you go for random. You want 1 tier item, obviously, which is best as Shojin, and of AP items. Usually, you want 1 mana regenerating item and 2 AP items. I like Shojin, Jugon, and Death Cap, but it doesn't matter as much as the A-Bomb items. And this is like level 7, and you have Econ and eggs hatching the Zyras at level 7. And you could go for Zyra 3, sometimes Brand 3, Nunu 3, fully upgradable, stuff like that. This is the Zyra version. For example, if the eggs are hatching a lot of ashes, or if you didn't hit A-bomb, for example, then you'll just play like 4 Brawler with 3 Draconic like this, your default level 6 board, and level 7 you could do something like this. And then at level 7, with the Draconic eggs hatching the ashes, you could just go 8 and then transition to this board into 4 Ranger Ash carry, with your Ash having like BT, Guinsu, like Shadow Last Whisper or regular Last Whisper, doesn't really matter. And then you just carry Ash carry with 4 Rangers. But then if, for example, if your eggs don't hatch a lot of Ash and you only have like 3 Ashes, you just push level 8, and then you transition this Ash item into a Phlex item and transition your board into a Phlex comp, which is basically 4 Ranger with a Phlex, and you have Kindred, Darius as the 3 important unit. I guess the 4 important units are Taric, Kindred, Darius, and Phlex, and a bunch of other Frontlines / Mystics / other Rangers. So for this board, it obviously requires the Draconic or Abom opener to play this comp. The reason I rated it at 3rd is because you don't always have this opener, and it's like really hard to force this. You flex between like which units you hit, either the Abom or the Brawlers, and it depends on the items on what to play. You could play a Phlex carry if you have like Deathblade. You could play a Zyra carry if you have good Abom item plus good Zyra item, or if you have like good attack speed / AD item, you just play Ash carry. And it just basically depends on items, eggs hatching, your econ, and HP. Example of this board winning is Hunter here, playing the Zyra version of it with rerolling for A-bomb as well. So you could see from here, he just stayed level 7 with 4 A-bomb plus the comp. And then you could see him 3-starring his Nunu, Zyra, Set, Brand with the items. A-bomb item, Hurricane, Last Whisper is the most important A-bomb items. And a bunch of tier AP item on Zyra. And in late game, for this comp, you transition out of the Draconic and you just play whichever upgraded like legendary units like Kindred for Mystic, or like Wildbear, Ironheimer, stuff like that. Here, another example is River X playing the same comp, the A-bomb Zyra comp. He just has AP / mana item on Zyra, A-bomb items. This is a case where he got Zyra 3 off eggs, didn't roll for other A-bomb units, and he stabilized up A-bomb forced the A-bomb with the A-bomb items and went for Zyra 3 from the eggs. And then at level he pushed 9 and put in upgraded legendary unit like Garen here with good items, and he won the lobby. Last example is a gameplay of this match history where I got the Draconic Brawler opener, and I didn't really have A-bomb items. So what I did was I didn't have an A-bomb item and I didn't hit any A-bomb units. So I just played, but I had a lot of ashes from eggs and a lot of good ash items. So I transitioned my board from a Draconic Brawler Ash into a capped 4 Ranger Ash / Aphelios dual carry, and this is how the comp turned out. Alright, that's everything for this meta tier list. Hope you guys can climb a lot using this tier list. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time.